Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Shabbat class, the 30th of August 2025. What we'll be dealing with is the Great Walls of Benin. We'll play that video and then we'll break it down and do a comparison and contrast with the Great Wall that's in China. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos you can listen to, examine, get the meat out. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and okay. This is a non-Messianic channel. We're dealing with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior, our Redeemer, and our Deliverer, Lord of Hosts. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity and understanding who their Savior truly is. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, Sabbath prayer, songs. We have some current events, some need to know information. Then we're going to our topic for discussion. Like I said, we'll be dealing with we'll play a couple of videos on the Great Wall of Benin, right? And then we'll pick a scripture as like we normally do, and we'll break that scripture down, and then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belong unto Thee. Therefore, we come before Thee at this hour, seeking Thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before Thee as Thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before Thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. For we desire to walk after Thee, O Lord, keep Your commandments, the testimony and the statutes with all our heart and our soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by Your prophets. The Lord, allow Thy face to shine upon Thy people. Hear our plea. Hear and do, O Lord, and hide not Thy face from us any longer, for we need You so very much at this hour. Peace be unto You. Okay. Let's read the song real quick. Okay. I'll read Psalm 53. Okay, it's a Psalm of David. The foolishness of men. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good. God looketh down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there be any that did understand, that seek God. Every one of them is gone back. Excuse me. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good. No, not one. Of the workers of iniquity, no knowledge. Who eat up my people as they eat bread, they have no call upon God. There were they in great fear, where no fear was, for God has scattered the bones of him that encamp against thee. Thou hast put them to shame, because God hath despised them. Oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion, when God bringeth back captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. Okay, so that was Psalms 53, the foolishness of men, Psalm of David. Any comments on that? Okay, with that being said, we'll go to our current events and we'll play them like we normally do. Then we'll break it down, get some feedback. Okay.
third largest city, is now preparing for civil unrest as the Department of Homeland Security is asking for military base support near Chicago. We'll address that in just a moment. But this is all coming from President Trump because President Trump is preparing a major immigration enforcement operation in Chicago this coming week. And now we have the mayor of Chicago. He signed an order aiming to resist President Trump's planned immigration crackdown. This is causing many residents, well, they are panicking. Millions of people are panicking because Chicago is at the forefront of this. They are going to be hammered over the next week. Now, I want to get into this, explain what is going on, but first, before I do, if you like updates just like this one, knowing about what's happening in other cities and other states around us, go ahead and hit that like button. Because according to experts, we are all watching to see what President Trump does in Chicago. Because what he decides to do in Chicago could be telling as to what his plans are for the rest of the country. So let's get right down to it. First off, the Department of Homeland Security asked the military base near Chicago for immigration enforcement support. It says, the Department of Homeland Security asked Naval Station Great Lakes for limited support in the form of facilities, infrastructure, and other logistical needs to support DHS operations. Goes on to say, the request came weeks after the Republican administration deployed National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. to target crime, immigration, and homelessness, and 2 months after it sent troops to Los Angeles. Now, we know what's been happening. When the National Guard troops hit the streets of Los Angeles, it actually caused a lot of rioting. It caused a lot of trouble. There's a lot of businesses and homes broken into, but eventually it actually calmed down the crime, and crime levels came down. That's the exact same tactic that President Trump used in Washington, D.C. Guess what happened? The crime rate dropped. Okay? The murder rate dropped. Okay? Homelessness dropped. Thefts dropped. That's essentially what he's trying to do with Chicago. Now, I want to read this to you, though. It says, although details of the administration's plans for Chicago are scarce, city leaders said Thursday that they are preparing for multiple possible scenarios, from troops assisting in immigration arrest to patrolling in the streets. That's what one person wrote to me, is that they are hoping that the National Guard troops will come and just patrol the streets. You will see them driving up and down the main areas, the main neighborhoods in Chicago, because that right there could actually bring down the crime rate. But then somebody else wrote to me and said that no, the National Guard is not needed in Chicago. So if you live in a major city, whether it's Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, California, it could be San Francisco, California, New York, Miami, Florida, Chicago, Illinois, New Orleans, whatever. If you live in a major city, let me know down in the comment section below. Do you think having the National Guard at your city, driving around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, do you think this would help with crime, or do you think this would actually increase the amount of crime that we're seeing? Let me know down in the comment section below. But this is what's happening, okay? And this is exactly what the Chicago mayor announced today. So Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson signed an executive order Saturday, laying out initial plans for how the city will try to resist President Donald Trump's planned immigration crackdown in the coming days. It says the mayor's order provides guidance and directives to the city's agencies and law enforcement, quote, in the midst of escalating threats from the federal government. Now, it says we will see militarized immigration enforcement. We may also see National Guard troops. We may even see active duty military and armed vehicles in our streets. We have not called for this. Our people have not asked for this, but nevertheless, we find ourselves having to respond to this. Yeah.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
How would it make the more crime for National Guards there?
Say, how would they make more crime?
Yeah, because he said either would make more crimes occur if they're there.
Yeah,
If the National Guard is,
resistance. People don't want them there, so it calls up people because they fighting against them being there.
okay. Shalom.
Okay. Anybody else?
Shalom. I don't think that they should be pulling um, the National Guards from their homes, their families, and pulling from different, states just to round them up to come and be, you know, be in Chicago or be in D.C. doing what they have to do because the president wants them to do that. There's more pressing things that they're, you know, are called for to do than to come into a city that, like DC, doesn't have that high crime like they said. Now they're trying to come to Chicago because knowing that Chicago on the map is supposed to be such a rough city, it just don't make any sense to me to continue to do that. And then after a while, he's going to be in Louisiana, Mississippi, uh, North Carolina, where I'm at, all these other, states, just putting in this big cities in the states, just putting the people out on the, those troops out there. They're going to go knock on people's doors, ask for identification, or they see people down the street walking, they're going to stop them to ask where they're going, and those kind of things. It's uncalled for.
Okay. Anybody else?
Shalom, brother Leonard. I wanted to say it kind of sound like too. They want to stop people from moving freely again.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that. When you understand about the by the 2025, they're trying to. Ever since he's been in office, they've been trying to get the blacks out in the streets. That's their main objective. They're trying to provoke the blacks. So what they did in California and what they're doing in D.C. Now they come to Chicago. They're constantly agitating the blacks. They're trying to get them out of the streets. And like I was saying before, here come Al Sharpton. So, and then the thing I was going to really put an emphasis on is, and people may not know it, but when you start talking about the powers that be, the Illuminati and all that, Chicago is their city. That's where all the drama go down when it comes to behind the scenes and the secret societies and all that. Chicago is the hub of all that. That's where Obama came out of there. So you keep your eye on that. Like I said, it ain't a coincidence that Al Sharpton just came on the scene. Now they're getting ready to go to Chicago. Okay, so just keep your eye on it. All right. So with that being said, we go to our next. It's like this thing they got going on with Trump. All of a sudden, all the news is about Trump supposed to be sick. All right, check this out.
Alex Jones has sent a warning about Donald Trump. And some people are saying that people need to pay attention to what he's saying here because they said that he's been pretty spot on about some other things. Notice I said some, not everything, but about some other things. And it kind of brought me back to this. Remember we were talking about this the other day? And I said, what is up with Donald Trump's hand? Remember we were talking about this? Brian Allen said Trump's hand is visibly bruised. He hides it, then shows it, then hides it again. Remember we were talking about like what's going on with dude's hand? Okay. Well, Alex Jones brought up some other issues, some other ones. And I think people need to see this. Again, this is a lot coming from him. Here's another one that people are sharing around. The Jerome Powell gaffe. right? So in 2017, even weirder yesterday, Alex Jones said he can tell that Trump's health is declining because of all the pressures of presidential duties. He says all presidents age twice as fast, and we see it happening right before our eyes. So in 2017, here's a picture of Donald Trump, and he says, "It is my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve." That was 2017. In 2025, here's Donald Trump. I was surprised when Jerome Powell was appointed. So people, these are some of the things that people are pointing out. Remember, we started to notice some of these things with Joe Biden, like as well. Now, Alex Jones is telling people, excuse me, Donald Trump is headed for a health collapse. Listen to this.
Nobody, I don't care who they are, can operate at the level he does and the intensity over long periods of time, nonstop. You can have the very best engine, made by the Japanese, and you can't drive the car for 2 months straight, never turning the engine off. You just can't do it. And so, as I said back when Biden was getting ready to run, back then I said his cognitive decline is serious, and showed videos from him months before where he still was a little weird, but got a lot worse. I said, I think he's probably had another aneurysm or another stroke or something. He's already had a bunch of big brain surgeries. And they're like, oh, we're censoring you, fake news. And of course, it was all true. This isn't going to go away because Trump's not going to cut his schedule back and take care of himself. Again, a 45-year-old man couldn't do this. So as the crisis gets worse, and it's going to get worse, because you can see him declining faster and faster. It's not super bad yet. But unlike Biden, that was completely shot and had all these brain surgeries and the rest of it, Trump has got great genetics. He's tough. And if he takes care of himself, he can make it through these years and then after. But if he doesn't, he's going to have, I predict Trump is going to have some type of collapse within the next 12 months at the current trajectory. I'm not.
Everybody hearing this? Right? So some of us saw this about Joe Biden during the Democrat primary debates when he was running in 2020. We were kind of calling this out back then that Joe Biden is, I'm like, yo, dude is slipping. What's happening? What is going on? But the DNC pushed him through anyway. You know how that goes. And so he had concerns about Joe Biden before he announced that he was going to run. And now he's telling people about Donald Trump's health. And wait till you see some of the things that he points out. Like, I saw the hand. I didn't see the cankle thing. So he's going to get into that as well.
Saying he's going to collapse. I'm saying if he doesn't take his foot off the gas pedal, I guarantee you, and I've got stamina, way better than most people. If I had Trump's job at 51 for a month, I would have a nervous breakdown. So this isn't a criticism of Trump, but it'd be like taking an ultra marathon runner and saying, okay, you can run 100 miles in 2 days. Well, how about 300 in 2 days? You can't do it.
Sorry here. Let's go to the next part, because a lot of people are talking about this. Let me just go past this picture here. And I think that this is something people need to be paying attention to, because that could mean that JD Vance will be stepping in before you know it. Something to think about.
So I really want Trump to cut the work days to 14 hours, not 20. I mean, here's an example. They looked at his schedule last week when he went up to Alaska, and he was seen doing interviews and getting on and off airplanes and things in a 35-hour period. And every hour or so, he was doing some interview or talking to officials and doing meetings and events. It looks like he didn't sleep. You can't do that at 50. You can't do it at 20. You sure as hell can't do it at 79. And as more evidence of that, let me just go ahead and hit this now. You know, I see this headline and I go, oh, let me go actually watch him say this. And sure enough, he did.
Someone was asking about cankles. Cankles are chubby ankles. Is that Savvy Bites? Yeah, cankles are chubby ankles. It's when like your ankle is swollen.
I know some of the inside baseball that really hasn't been talked about. Yeah, and you see a little swelling there. If you pull up the ankles from Alaska, it's a straight on shot. They are big. They are swollen. I mean, they're like really big. I mean, they look like in my neck's 19 and a half inches, about like that. His ankles look like they're about 15 inches around. That's not a good sign for the heart and the rest of the body, because the rest of him, he's lost weight. He's not that fat. So
he literally said he's not that fat. Oh my God. Checkpoint said Alex Jones is actually being logical. I don't know. I've heard people say cankles before. Oh my God.
Trump really needs to exercise and take care of himself. Yeah,
that's it right there. So you guys see, that's not a good thing. Like, and of course, you know, like they're trying to make this seem like it is a good thing. Not that it is a good thing, but you guys know the same way that the press secretary covered for Biden, the press secretary for Donald Trump is saying he has a good bill of health. So we done been down this road before. But I'm looking at the picture my damn self. No, that's not good. That's not good. Miss Kiwi says she thinks it may be blood pressure and kidney function problems. You know, when you have swelling, and I'm no doctor, but swelling isn't a good thing, right? Like, especially there. I don't know.
So what you think? Any comments on that? Look like they're setting it up.
Shalom. I noticed that with the hand on one of his interviews that he had, and he's starting where he wear ties. He's starting to just be loose, like his shirt is open and everything, and he's looking different. Shalom.
Okay. Anybody else got anything on that?
Shalom. When he spoke about his ankles, that was in April. They showed his ankles, and then now they're showing his hand. But he had that problem with his ankles a couple of months ago.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, here we go. This is our need to know information. Right here. Let me get it.
Right now is absolutely critical. And if you're not paying attention, you're missing the biggest shift in national security policy we've seen in decades. The Trump administration just launched a massive investigation into 55 million foreign nationals holding valid US visas. And let me tell you, this is not some routine paperwork check. If you're new here, I'm Andrew Meatrich. I used to work inside a state-run media outlet, saw how stories were twisted to fit the narrative, and I walked away. Now I'm independent, I speak freely, and I tell you what really matters. The State Department announced that every single visa holder is now under continuous review for any violations that could lead to document cancellation or immediate deportation. We're talking about overstaying permits, criminal activity, threats to public safety, involvement in criminal organizations, or supporting criminal groups. And here's what they're not saying out loud. They're going to scrutinize anyone who participated in anti-Trump protests or opposed his policies. President Trump himself declared that Washington has become a safe city again, thanks to National Guard and police actions. For the first time in years, the capital recorded 0 major crimes this week, and tourists are flooding back to the nation's capital. But here's the kicker. This is just the beginning of what's coming. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with European allies and delivered a message that should terrify Brussels. America will participate in Ukraine's security guarantees, but only in a limited role. Europe must take the lead. The Europeans predictably agreed, because what choice do they have? When they asked Trump for continued military intelligence and surveillance support, the president seemed understanding, but made no concrete promises. Translation, you're on your own. But the real bombshell came from Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. She's banned sharing intelligence about Russia-Ukraine negotiations with the Five Eyes alliance partners. Think about that for a second. The Five Eyes, one of the world's most powerful and secretive intelligence partnerships, includes the United States, Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. All analytical materials and data concerning the negotiations will be hidden from these longtime allies. This is an open display of distrust, most likely connected to British interference. London clearly doesn't want Trump's plan to succeed, and now they're being cut out of the intelligence loop. The only exception is publicly disclosed information, and even distribution within American structures is being restricted. If you're finding this analysis valuable, hit that like button and subscribe. Your support helps me stay independent and continue bringing you the truth they don't want you to hear. Rural areas. It's only going to get worse in the coming years because almost every 4th German doctor, more than 100,000 specialists, is over 60 years old. Training replacements for retiring doctors takes years, and there are difficulties with that too. Medical universities don't have enough places. In the winter semester of 2024 to 2025, German universities enrolled about 10,000 first-year students, while around 20,000 were rejected, not only due to high admission requirements, but because of insufficient places. Experts believe the problem could be solved with at least 5,000 additional study places, but increasing their number might be problematic. According to the Federal Statistical Office, current expenses per student exceed 25,000 euros annually. They're considering a positive but not decisive factor, the influx of refugees with medical education. About 6,000 people from Syria are already working as doctors, primarily in hospitals. According to German media, after the war in Ukraine began, about 1,600 medical professionals arrived in Germany. 187 of them managed to confirm their qualifications and are already authorized to practice. But the problem isn't solved. They're not hiding that. What does all this tell us? We're watching the complete transformation of the Western alliance structure. America is pulling back from global commitments while European nations scramble to fill the void. Germany faces internal security crises, political upheaval, and infrastructure collapse. The old order is crumbling before our eyes. Drop your thoughts in the comments about everything happening and what I've shared today. What do you...
Okay. So it says that America is backing away from NATO, what it seems like, and Germany is collapsing. Not looking good. Anybody got any info on that or any comments on that? Okay, we'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments about anything from this morning, men's line, women's line? Anything they came across they want to talk about, shine a light on? Okay, everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. Maybe it's right here.
Completely unrealistic for the majority of people. Like, are you telling me that people are just going to be able to pay the tremendous upfront amount of money to buy a property and to then be stuck with it for the rest of their lives, all while mostly paying not even for the home, but for the interest on their loan, as well as property taxes, and let me not even get started on maintenance. But you know what is not unrealistic to be bought, at least for a certain group of people, or let's say companies? Your future. In 2025, your American dream is being bought. packaged, traded, and owned by a company most Americans have never even heard of, Blackstone. A name that sounds like something from a medieval castle. But this isn't fantasy. This is the new reality of American housing. And while you were working, saving, dreaming of that perfect home, Blackstone was buying entire neighborhoods, entire cities, entire futures. They're not just buying houses, they're buying America itself. And nobody's talking about it. And now let me help you with a few tips so you don't embarrass yourself in some future conversations with people and just some common misconceptions. Blackstone is the main company buying up American real estate, and not. Don't confuse the two, or at a dinner table, if you're sitting with someone who knows a thing or two, you might make a fool of yourself. But I'm here to help you. So sit back and get ready to understand how and when BlackRock bought up half of America, and how no one even noticed, and how this will affect your life if you don't pay attention. I find it hilarious how no one really covers this topic, and most people would rather talk about the increase of the price of eggs or bread, when one of the biggest expenses of your lifetime is at serious risk. Welcome to House Crisis, and I am here to save your lives with some straight information. Let's get into it. Number 10, the Phoenix phenomenon. Phoenix, Arizona, the Valley of the Sun, where retirees once flocked for golden years and young families sought affordable starts. But in 2025, something else is happening in these desert suburbs. Drive through Maryvale, cruise down a Watuki. What do you see? Rows of identical houses, pristine lawns, American flags waving. Looks normal, right? Wrong. Behind those doors, there's no family dinner table, no kids' height marks on the doorframe, no mortgage being slowly paid off by proud homeowners. These houses have corporate landlords now, and the biggest one, Blackstone's Invitation Homes, 32,000 single-family homes just in Phoenix Metro. That's not a neighborhood, that's an empire. The numbers are staggering. Since 2012, Blackstone has spent over $150 billion on real estate. Not millions, billions. While the average American family struggles to save a $20,000 down payment, Blackstone drops that amount every 12 seconds. Every 12 seconds. In Phoenix alone, home prices have exploded 140% since Blackstone started buying. Coincidence? The median home now costs $450,000. For a family making $75,000 a year, that's not just expensive, it's impossible. Jennifer Martinez saved for 15 years. 15 years of double shifts, skip vacations, coupon cutting. She finally had her down payment. But every house she bid on, gone. Cash offer, above asking, no inspection. Corporate buyer. Number 9, the Southeast Stranglehold, Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville, Raleigh, the New South, where tech workers flee California prices and families seek better lives. These metros were supposed to be different, affordable, accessible, American. But drive through suburban Atlanta today. Peachtree Corners, Alpharetta, Duluth. Notice anything strange? Every third house has the same property management sign, the same rental application process, the same corporate owner. Blackstone didn't just buy houses here. They bought entire subdivisions at foreclosure auctions. These aren't just investments, they're power plays. Owning the offices means controlling where companies locate, what they pay, how cities develop. When Amazon wanted new headquarters, who do you think was lobbying cities for tax breaks? When Google needs space, who sets the price? When your startup needs an office, who decides if you can afford to exist? Willis Tower in Chicago, once the Sears Tower, symbol of American enterprise. Now, it's this guy's tower. Okay, but jokes aside, if you are enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing. These take a long time. Blackstone, $2,000 a month for a shared room. Sarah's entire second job just covers that rent. I wanted to give her opportunities I never had, Sarah says, but even her opportunity is owned by someone else. Number 1, the ultimate American takeover. But here's the final truth, the one that should terrify you. Blackstone isn't just buying property, they're buying political power. $50 million in lobbying over the last 5 years. $50 million. While you were writing letters to your congressman, Blackstone was writing checks. They lobby against rent control, against tenant protections, against affordable housing requirements, against the very policies that might give regular Americans a fighting chance. The CEO, Steven Schwartzman, has a personal fortune of $40 billion. $40 billion. He makes more in 1 hour than the average American makes in a year. His Manhattan penthouse, worth $100 million. He owns homes in the Hamptons, Palm Beach, Saint-Tropez, meanwhile, the Americans paying rent to his company, 40% spend more than half their income on housing. Half. Every dollar they earn, Blackstone gets 50 cents. But here's the darkest part. Blackstone uses your own money against you. Those pension funds investing in Blackstone, that's teachers, firefighters, public employees, their retirement savings are being used to buy houses they can't afford themselves. The 401k you're contributing to probably has Blackstone funds. You're literally funding your own displacement, and the government, they're helping. The Federal Reserve's policies keeping interest rates low for years gave Blackstone cheap money to buy America. While you
Okay. Any comments on that? Says this company Blackstone got half of the real estate in America. You get some?
Yes, sir. Shalom. Blackstone, as he wasn't putting it out all the way because there's some things that they were doing good back in 2016, 17, and 18, and 2022. The homes that they were saying that the places they bought up little suburbs and little communities, they have them to rent. They even offer them rent to own. So they have gotten many have been renting and owning their homes that they got through Blackstone, and also they Blackstone has I was reading it, and they have offered a lot to the communities. They're making it more where um, people who could not purchase a home was able to rent a home, and the way he made it seem on there, if they get the City Journal, he made it seem like it was a really bad thing, but there were people who didn't want to live in the apartment homes. So instead of having apartment buildings, sky risers, he did the family homes so people can be more family oriented in a house. This is what the City Journal was talking about, as far as Blackstone realtors going.
Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay.
Shalom. I was going to say I had not heard about Blackstone specifically. I know when a little bit before, and I live in Kansas, you guys, so a little bit before the pandemic and definitely during, even in the middle of the country here in Kansas, there was a large amount of companies. We never knew which ones that were buying homes and doing just that, renting them out. And it's nothing like owning land. And one thing that I hear Israelites say that this isn't our land to own anyway, so it shouldn't matter. I will say on the financial end, though, buying can sometimes be less expensive than renting, specifically when rent can go up next year or the next lease. Um, so yes, I had heard about and even seen here in the middle of Kansas companies just buying homes and just to rent them out for kind of like a Bill Gates type of thing that I mentioned earlier during the morning class, just another avenue of making money. Um, and that does mean fixing them up, and it does mean making it look nice. It also means in some specific communities that some people, like that clip said, actually cannot afford to pay the rent, but they're living check to check just to live there.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, yeah. So one topic for discussion is the Great Wall of Benin. But if you understand what Benin is, that's Benjamin, tribe of Benjamin. We know that the Israelites fled out of Northeast Africa from the Middle East when Antioch Epiphanes came, and he ran the Israelites fulfilling the prophecy in the book of Daniel. They fled into Africa, and a lot of those kingdoms that we're dealing with in Africa and in the history is actually Israelite kingdoms, and one of them is Benin. But my point is that they always, everything we know now, that everything they put a light on and try to take credit for, it came from us. And so this is no different. They always talk about the Great Wall of China, but they never talk about the Great Wall that the Israelites built in Africa, called the Great Wall Great Walls of Benin, which they was like 2 times as long than the Chinese Wall, the Great Wall of China. So we'll play it, one of these videos, and then we'll get some feedback. Thought it was pretty interesting.
The Great African Walls of Benin. Imagine a kingdom so grand its walls stretched like an endless serpent across West Africa, outpacing the Great Wall of China by 4 times, built by a people whose ingenuity left European explorers speechless. These are the walls of Benin, crafted by the Edo in southern Nigeria, a colossal network of earthworks that guarded a thriving empire of bronze masters and divine kings. From 800 to 1460 AD, the Benin Kingdom raised these ramparts, blending defense, spirituality, and fractal genius into a wonder that rivaled the world's greatest. Yet, their story is one of glory shattered by colonial greed, their legacy looted and nearly erased. Who were the Edo, these builders of Africa's forgotten marvel? Why construct walls so vast they enclosed thousands of villages? And what secrets do their ruins hold about a lost African powerhouse? I'm the ancientologist, and I spend my time uncovering the parts of history they don't teach in school. Today, we're diving into the enigma of the Great African Walls of Benin, peeling back the layers of a civilization that reshaped West Africa. Smash that like button and subscribe to join this epic journey. You're not going to want to miss a single second. The dawn of Edo civilization. Long before the walls of Benin towered over West Africa, the Edo people's land was a vibrant cradle of culture in the coastal hinterland. By 1180 CE, the city of Ibinu, later Benin City, was founded, according to oral traditions, as a hub for the Edo, a people with deep roots in folklore, rituals, and communal harmony. From 40 BC to 16 CE, they were ruled by the Ogisos, or Kings of the Sky, semi-mythical leaders believed to descend from Osanubwa, the creator god. Revered as divine, the Ogisos governed with the Uzama, a council of elders known as kingmakers, shaping a society that valued oral histories and spiritual unity. Early settlements buzzed with activity. Storytellers wove tales of gods and ancestors under starlit skies, artisans crafted tools from wood and stone, and farmers tamed the fertile lands. The Edo's spiritual worldview, rooted in reverence for nature and ancestors, set the stage for a kingdom that would redefine African power. Picture a bustling village, smoke rising from clay huts, as elders recount legends that would echo through centuries. What unique qualities of the Edo's early culture enabled them to build a kingdom that would reshape West Africa's history? The rise of the Oba dynasty. In the 13th century, the Benin Kingdom underwent a profound shift with the rise of the Oba dynasty, succeeding the Ogisos. Iweka, the first Oba, ruled until 1246, unifying the Edo under a divine monarchy that fused spiritual and political authority. Unlike the Ogisos, whose rule was semi-mythical, the Obas were seen as living gods, their power sanctified by elaborate ceremonies, sacrifices, and festivals. Supported by a complex bureaucracy of chiefs, priests, and artisans, the Obas transformed Benin City into a planned urban center, its streets lined with polished clay houses and palaces adorned with bronze plaques. Oral histories describe a kingdom where loyalty to the Oba was paramount, with rituals binding the community in shared devotion. The transition to the Oba dynasty marked the dawn of Benin's golden age, as centralized power fueled cultural and territorial expansion. Imagine a coronation in Benin City, drums pounding, crowds chanting, as the Oba is crowned in a blaze of regalia and reverence. How did this shift to divine kingship ignite Benin's ascent to regional dominance? The Great Walls take shape. The walls of Benin, known as Iya in the Edo language, began taking shape around 800 AD, reaching their zenith under Oba Ogwola, 1280 to 1295, and Oba Eware, 1440 to 1473. Stretching over 16,000 kilometers and enclosing 6,500 square kilometers, these earthworks were declared the world's largest pre-mechanical construction by the 1974 Guinness Book of Records. Comprising a complex system of moats and ramparts, the walls encircled Benin City and approximately 500 surrounding villages, forming a mosaic of interconnected boundaries. Workers dug deep ditches to create inner moats, using the excavated earth to build towering outer embankments, some soaring 18 meters high. This wasn't just a defensive barrier, but a statement of power designed to protect, organize, and awe. Picture thousands of Edo laborers, sweat glistening, chanting in rhythm as they shaped a fortress to shield their sacred kingdom. What drove the Edo to undertake such an audacious project, and what does it reveal about their vision for their empire? What would you feel standing atop those towering ramparts, gazing out over a protected realm? Engineering a monumental feat. The construction of the Benin walls was a staggering feat of engineering that defies modern comprehension. Spanning centuries, their creation demanded an estimated 150 million hours of labor, with workers moving millions of tons of earth across swampy forests and rolling hills. Archaeologist Graham Khanna calculated that 1,000 laborers, working 10-hour days over 5 dry seasons, could have built sections of the rural walls, while the entire network likely took generations. The wall's fractal design, as mathematician Ron Eglash observed, employed repeating geometric patterns. House layouts mirrored village clusters, which echoed the city's grid in a mathematically precise symphony. Workers used ropes, stakes, and keen spatial awareness to align moats and ramparts with uncanny accuracy. This wasn't mere muscle. It was a triumph of planning, symmetry, and intellectual rigor. Imagine a chief overseeing workers, measuring angles under a scorching sun.
Notice what he said, rigor, right? Take that same rigor when they was in Egypt. This is where all these skills come from. And then not only that, the creator, if you remember, when they started building the temple, the Most High put a spirit on certain men and made them artisans in all different types of skills, and metal work, bronze work, and all that. So you say, well, what are you talking about? We're going to see here in a minute how they was like centuries ahead of everybody when it comes to bronze work.
Sun, ensuring every earthwork was perfect. How did the Edo master such advanced mathematical and engineering skills centuries before Europe's fractal discoveries? The wall's multifaceted purpose. The Benin walls were far more than a barrier. They were a cornerstone of Edo society, serving multiple roles. Primarily, they protected Benin City from external threats, such as the Oyo Kingdom or Sokoto Caliphate, with fortified gates and armed guards sealing entry at night. Beyond defense, the walls regulated trade routes, ensuring safe passage for merchants carrying gold, ivory, and pepper. They also marked sacred boundaries, separating the royal precincts, home to palaces and shrines, from rural villages. Symbolically, the walls embodied the kingdom's unity and power, their towering presence a declaration of Edo pride. Moats doubled as quarries, supplying earth for ramparts, showcasing resource ingenuity. Picture a trader approaching Benin City, dwarfed by 18-meter earthworks, knowing they guarded a divine realm. Which role of the walls, defense, trade, symbolism, or planning, stands out as their most enduring legacy? Benin's artistic golden age. The Benin Kingdom was a cultural powerhouse, renowned for the Benin bronzes, brass plaques, and life-sized heads that adorned the Oba's palace. By 900 CE, artisans mastered smelting copper and zinc to craft these masterpieces, depicting rulers, battles, and gods with a precision that rivaled Europe's finest, as Professor Felix von Luschen of the Berlin Ethnological Museum observed.
So, like I said, they received all these skills when they was in Israel, when they was building the temple. He put a spirit on certain men, certain groups of men to be able to deal with gold, put a spirit on certain men to deal with bronze and all that. This is what this is. And when you understand what's going on, they was kicked out of the land of Israel, but they got the curses on them. Deuteronomy 28 and 68, he caught up with them and overtook them while they was in these kingdoms. Then the last curse, ships coming and taking them to captivity, overtook them.
Wood and ivory carvings, from ceremonial masks to intricate boxes, flourished under royal patronage, with artisans occupying a dedicated district in Benin City. These works weren't just art, they were historical records, glorifying the Oba's divine authority and chronicling Edo victories. The bronzes, in particular, showcased techniques honed over generations, blending realism with symbolic motifs. Imagine a bronze plaque gleaming in torchlight, capturing an Oba in regal splendor, his court immortalized in metal. How did Benin's artisans transform raw materials into narratives that endure across centuries? A trade empire's global reach. Benin's wealth and influence surged through a vast trade network that connected West Africa to the world. By the 15th century, under Oba Ewar, the kingdom traded gold, ivory, pepper, and exotic animals like leopards with neighboring states and Mediterranean powers. Exports reached Portugal, swapped for firearms, textiles, and manillas. Bronze bracelets melted down for currency or art. Locally, cowrie shells powered bustling markets. The kingdom's
so when you understand what happened, this why these people, when you start talking about, I mean, the accomplishments that we did over here is dwarfed to what they was doing over there. And that's why when you come to, people always talk about Black Wall Street. Well, that's what they was doing when they came and got them right here. So Black Wall Street was like, you know, a dip in the bucket. So if they wouldn't have got in the way, they'd have been doing the same thing over here. But that's why they got this watchful eye over us. They don't want us out of their sight for too long. They know what we're capable of. Okay. Anybody have any comments or questions on that?
Shalom. Is Benin up and running now, or this just a place that is desolate?
They destroyed it like they did Black Wall Street. And they came and all of it, and they whatever they call that in Berlin, when they divided up the Africa and Berlin, that's what their objective was to destroy all the history that these people had done. And then the people that was here in America, when they came, they had portrayed them as being heathens and illiterate. But that was a lie. That was for them the people not to know who they were. It's like we said, they changed their names, which was Creator had already said that was gonna happen. We read that in Psalm 33. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay, we're gonna go to pick a scripture. We'll pick the scripture, then we'll break it down, and then we're gonna close the Shabbat out. Anybody got a scripture they want to shine a light on?
Brother Leonard, can I go to 2 Chronicles 6 and just 13 and 14.
Okay, what does it say?
And it says, for Solomon had made a brazen scaffold of 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad and 3 cubits high, and had set it in the midst of the court. And upon it he stood and kneeled down upon his knees before all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands toward heaven, and said, O Lord God of Israel, there is no God like thee in the heaven, nor in the earth, which keepeth covenant and showeth mercy unto thy servants, and walkest before thee with all their hearts. Shalom.
Okay, so we see right there that he's doing the same thing the Lord of hosts did in Exodus 32, right?
Right, yes, sir. Oh, in Deuteronomy
32, yeah. He stretched out his hand. He's doing the same thing. And another thing, like I said, when the understanding started coming together, we saw that Daniel described him. He said he had a girded about with a golden girdle. He had a white garment on, girded about with a golden girdle. When you go to when David brought the ark to Jerusalem, David had the same thing on. So yeah, we look over there. It's like just like with those. If Daniel described uh, Michael like that, you think that Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, and them was naked? They had the same thing on. They was girded about with a golden girdle. Okay, when we just those things that don't come to people's mind, which is really valuable because it paints a clear picture for what was actually going on at situations. Okay, and yeah. So anybody else got anything on that? Oh yeah, the scaffold. If you go back to America's history in the beginning, if you remember, they had those people like what his name, Martin Luther, and all these different so-called evangelists that was going around traveling evangelists to one city to another in America. They did the same thing. They would come to a city, set up a scaffold, and get up on it. They got it from there. Even to the day, that's what that is. They duplicating what Solomon did. Actually, he built an altar, a platform, and got up on it. And today we look at those things, but we don't know where they got it from. But that's what Billy Graham and all the men doing. They're copying off what was explained to us by our forefathers, what Solomon did and all that. They duplicating it. Everything they doing, they stole it. They don't have no culture. So with that being said, everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yeah,
sir.
so another Shabbat. I wanted to say appreciate everybody. I'll see everybody on tomorrow for our Sunday Advanced Bible Study. It's at 5 o'clock. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And there's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.